President Obama is set to deliver his highly anticipated job speech to Congress tonight. Joining me is Komal Srikumar, Chief Investment Strategist with TCW. Sri, what do you think that the president has to say tonight to give investors some hope?
Chow, I think it's very important the president consider that 2.5 years have passed into the presidency. He has a year and a half left. He needs urgent results, number one. And second, unemployment has remained stubbornly high. So what he has to look for, what will immediately bring unemployment rate down and what will pass the Republican Congress. Those will be his two major objectives.
So there are a couple of things that the media has brought up that he may talk about tonight, including infrastructure spending, tax cuts, aid to local government. What are you going to be listening for tonight?
All of those I hear mentioned as likely to figure in tonight's speech. But the important point is they have also figured in past speeches beginning from the assumption of office in 2009. So if they did not work before, the question is why is any one of them going to work today? So I would be looking for something different, Chow. I'd be looking to see if there are any structural adjustments that he's going to suggest to the labor market.
So explain to us this idea of pumping more stimulus into the economy to create jobs versus some sort of structural change to the jobs program.
That's a good question. In terms of pumping money into it, we had cash for clunkers, we had tax credit for buying the first home, we had all the too big to fail banks which were saved through spending, and none of that brought the unemployment rate down. So the structural changes involved would say that I'm not going to continue to pay you for longer periods of time to stay unemployed, and I see that you're losing skills. I'm going to retrain you and pay you a wage even when you're being trained, and so you will be ready for the new economy. So that's one way to do it. So in other words, the unemployment compensation is paid to you to keep you employed rather than prolong the period of payments when you are unemployed. That would be the big structural shift.
Do you think that by tomorrow we'll see some shift in market sentiment depending on what he says, or do you think it'll all be noise tonight?
I think based on what he says, you will see how the futures are reacting in the United States immediately. And the Asian markets will be open at the time at which he speaks. So you will see the reaction, actual reaction from Asian markets immediately, and you'll see the reaction in futures in the United States also fairly soon. And I think tomorrow morning at 9:30 New York time in the morning, you will see the big reaction of the New York Stock Exchange as well.
So if you had to call it, I know it's always difficult, would you say that investors are going to react positively or negatively?
Based on what I have seen, I think the hopes are very high and the president doesn't have much of maneuvering room. So since the market went up substantially yesterday, for example, I would think that it's going to be very difficult to keep up the high expectations. So I think at least there's going to be a mild setback or letdown for the markets, in my opinion.